Hello everybody, welcome to First Gaming. Just going to get a video underway for you now, which will be about Starcraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, the new expansion coming out, which Blizzard announced at BlizzCon. Now, this Heart of the Swarm expansion holds new units for multiplayer and single player. I'll be going through I think it's 8 new units that are available to you, the players. 3 Terran, 3 Protoss, and 2 Zerg. I'll be starting off with the first Terran unit, which is the Battle Hellion. Now, the Hellion is a normal, moving vehicle for all those that play Starcraft. You know what the Hellion is. Now, the Battle Hellion is a new mode for the Hellion, just like a Viking has 2 modes to change in and out of. Now, the Battle Hellion when it changes, it has more HP, it's tougher, can withstand more damage. It will move slower, so it's not viable for moving around the map. It's better to switch back into normal Hellion mode. But it also does a wider arc of splash damage fire, so it's good against those Zerglings that are going to run up your ramp. I've seen from examples, battle mode Hellions being stood on the top of the ramp to the base, shooting their big arc. I think it's increased by a lot of degrees. So there's more splash damage to kill the Zerglings. So it's quite a good unit for the Terran, and it's basically similar to the Firebat, so it's something that Terrans will want to use. Now, the next unit that I'm going to get on into is another Terran unit called the Shredder. Now, I don't know a lot about the Shredder, but I know that it's produced at the factory, and from what I'm reading now, it can create a whirlwind of radioactive death around it. So it seems pretty awesome. The attack is automatically disabled if friendly units enter within range. So what that's going to be useful for you StarCraft 2 Terran players is to put around possible 3rd expansions, 4th expansions around the mineral line, so that when probes and light units come around, they can just get AoE down, splash damage. So it seems like quite a viable unit to use, in my opinion. And yeah, so I'd use that, in all honesty, as a Terran player myself when I do play StarCraft. Next Terran unit that I'm going to get to now is the Warhound. Now, the Warhound is quite a replacement for Thor. Now, we did hear at BlizzCon that Thors are Terran players are only allowed to have 1 at late game in the multiplayer, and these Warhounds are going to, just as I was saying, the Warhounds are going to be a replacement for the Thor, basically. Can't use my tongue, can't pronounce that. Yeah, so they're produced at the factory, just like the Thor. It has powerful anti-ground attacks and does splash damage to the air targets, so you get a ton of, I'd say, phoenixes above your head, splash damage to all of them, spreading out the damage. It's pretty good. Its anti-ground attack does bonus damage to mechanical units, so Terran versus Terran, this is going to be quite a viable unit to progress to as you are playing, so it's something to look out for. Next, I'm going to be getting onto the new Zerg units, and we will start with the Viper. Now, yet again, I've seen from videos the Viper has an ability to lunge out if you imagine a frog shooting out its tongue onto an enemy, it can bring it to its location, or if you're into World of Warcraft, a death grip. And as I'm reading here, the Viper is a new strain of Zerg flyers being incorporated into the upcoming expansion. They grant detection, so Viper's going to be used to move away from the Overseer, the Overlords, next gen. So you're going to have detection moving around with your death ball of units. Not a massive unit, and have an adduct ability. Now that's the ability that I was talking about with the death grip. So it's quite a viable unit to get in, from what I've seen. A Colossus at far range to be brought down to the ground with all your units surrounding it, so you get a roach surround on it. So it's a pretty viable unit to have with your Zerg death ball. So yeah, you want to get that, to be honest. Now the next unit, I'm just jotting down all the times that I'm finishing talking about these so I can get it incorporated into my movie. Oh, that's difficult. Next we have the Swarm Host. Now the Swarm Host, from what I know, is a multiplayer unit which you'll be able to use, I think, in the multiplayer. You burrow the Swarm Host outside of anywhere, and that Swarm Host will send out small units, much like Broodlings, but they're called Locusts. Now Locusts, I believe, to do similar damage to either a Zergling or a Broodling, so it's going to be quite viable for taking out big units. As you know, that Zerglings, when they get surrounded on a massive unit, can do a lot of damage if there's tons of them. So this unit's going to be good for Zerg players, and I'm happy that they're bringing it in, to be honest. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Jotting it down. Next, we're going to get onto the Protoss units, my personal favourite, and the class that I play. And I'm just going to read. The Replicant. The Replicants are Protoss microscopic robots that can fuse themselves to copy a non-massive enemy unit, including managing... Basically, a replicant can see an enemy's unit, for example, replicants moving along, and it sees a search siege tank sieged up, it's going to copy that. So now it'll copy it and turn into a siege tank and do the same damage as a siege tank. Unlike a halification, I think it's called, from a sentry, it will do damage. Now this is going to be good to throw off your opponent if they're planning on doing a certain build towards your certain build. They're going to see that you've copied the same units as they have, and now that's just going to throw a massive spanner in the works. So it's going to be quite a good unit to use for the Protoss, and definitely another unit that I'd use, so that you are not just sticking to a normal build, you are sticking to something a bit different. So yeah, next unit is the Tempest. Now this unit was very interesting for me as a Protoss. It's meant to replace the carrier in a multiplayer battle. Now the most powerful combination that this game unit has is the fact that with multiple Tempests, when you're faced with Mutalisks, like a massive death ball of Mutalisks coming towards your probe line or anything like that, you're going to pack up your Tempests, and Tempests will do their damage in a splash area. Now, just a normal Tempest will do a splash damage, much like, I'd say, an EMP type place, and that will surround all High Templars, Storm. So basically a storm around the Mutalisks, and because Mutalisks are a light unit, it's going to cause a lot more damage. So this Tempests are very good for anti-Mutalisks and light units anywhere. So definitely another unit that is going to be wanting to be used, and I'm pretty happy with what Blizzard have produced. Actually, they've done a lot of viable units for new multiplayers for each race. And the final unit is the Oracle. Now I don't know a lot about this, but I'm going to read the abilities off Starcraft wiki. Phase shift. Phase out a unit for approximately 45 seconds, preventing it from being attacked, using abilities, researching or building. Preordain gives vision of a target building and what it is constructing. So from what we know and reading so far, phase shift, that's going to be good. So you could use this to click on the mineral line, a certain mineral patch, then that won't be allowed to be mined at all, and you're putting a massive, I stress, spanner in the works of the player, and that's just going to stop their production by a certain percentage. And preordain, you're going to see what they are producing. If you're looking at a Terran building, you'll be able to see what they're maining. Maybe they're doing a transition into something, and you'll be able to spot that and get the upper hand on them. And the final ability is Entom, area of effect spell. Encases minerals in a shell, making them unharvestable. I've got it mixed up. Entombed, means minerals can't be harvested. Phase shift means a unit cannot be touched or accessed for 45 seconds. So you could either save your unit or you could stop their unit. So you could target a Colossus and stop it from just tearing up all your light units. So that seems a really good unit. I'm guessing that it's going to be quite a heavy resource unit to use, seeing as it's just got so many abilities, and I guess you'll have to research them as well. So basically, guys, that was just an update from First Gaming, just getting a whole round off of BlizzCon and what they just said of everything. Please check out the previous videos. I've just put up my Dead Gaming gameplay, and that's going to be uploaded tonight because it wasn't in full screen mode, and I want my audience to have the best view of the games I played. So I've enhanced that better to 16:9 the view widescreen, so you can see that. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I will see you next time. And look out, please subscribe, like, everything. Thank you very much. Goodbye.